Hey, what's up, Canada and beyond? It is Thursday, August 1st, 2024, and I have no idea what we're going to be delving all into tonight. My plans were drastically re-altered last moment, shall we say. Things happen, life gets in the way. I've been working with a fellow named David for several weeks now, we're trying to get coordinated to get David onto a program here with you guys, simply because I think that he has more skills and ability than anybody else I know right now as to help people communicate better in this current time that we're in right now. And he's been working on this for a long time. This program that he's developed, I've had an opportunity to take a couple of programs with him. And if anybody's noticed over the last couple of months an improvement in how I frame things, how I deliver stories, how I deal with the different stories, it would have probably more than likely something to do with the programs that I learned and the things that I've learned from David in just a couple of short courses that I've taken from him. So we didn't get a chance to talk tonight. I'm not going to let this go. We will get David on the program at some point sooner or later, but I didn't want you guys to have to wait to have access to this course and program. So the links for reaching people with David will be in the Substack tomorrow, of course. After every show, I do a Substack and let everybody know where they can find anything and everything that we cover or talk about on this show or program. The night before, it's there typically by 9 o'clock in the morning. And if you're not subscribed on Substack, I'll tell you exactly where to go right now to make sure that you can, get plugged in to where all of the rest of the bonuses and goodies and the good stuff is. I'll put a link on the screen here as well, but I really want people to get used to going over to the website. As you can see, I've rebuilt and relaunched the whatsupcanada.org website, and as we get further down this crazy train with this current regime, we're going to have to learn to adapt and improvise in order to overcome things like censorship. So over here, you guys can plug into any of the shows that we're doing as well. And right down at the bottom, there's a full library of everything that we're doing, nice and clean, no garbage, no nonsense, no fuss. And down at the bottom, there is a place where you can get registered and subscribed on Substack. It is free. It is absolutely free. My content will always be free. But if you should so choose to help me out, there's ways you can do that. You can subscribe there for, I think, $6 a month, or you can buy me a coffee there, which really helps as well. I live on pretty much coffee and craft dinner, and the wolf is at the door again. So this is how you can keep this going and keep it free for everybody. As well as I wanted to remind everybody about lgm.news, where it's 2 clicks to content. And as if you guys caught our chat yesterday with our special guest Mags from Mag Americans, we wanted to introduce you guys, or I wanted to introduce you guys to Mags before he got launched or relaunched on the LGM platform. But there you see him. He's back on LGM, and of course, other great podcasters like TFM Report are there as well. See, there's our show the other day or yesterday from Mags. So this platform is built uniquely on different tech. We've been developing this for a little over a year, Paul and I, and part of the reason why we were doing that was so that we could incorporate other things into the platform, other tools, other resources. This being an example of one of them. This is the second time we did a test run last weekend, but now we're kind of getting into the meat of things, guys, where we're able to bring together tools and people in the same place and do things in ways that we've never been able to do before. So that's the adapt, improvise, and overcome part of what we try to do. I see a comment here from Cheryl on Facebook. Rumble is up. I'm not surprised if you're having issues. I had people yesterday's stream tried 3 different times. They couldn't get in. It's hit and miss with these platforms. I cannot explain it. They're just, this reminds me of the last election cycle when they made it just uncomfortable. They made it tough to watch so that you would just finally get fed up and leave and stop following. So it kind of has those feelings again. So this is, the best I can tell you is try to reset. We are streaming live on Rumble tonight as well as Facebook still. So far, this is, I think, day 8. X, Wimkin, Instagram, and of course, yes, here on Rumble. So hope that helps, guys. Kind of gets everybody plugged in to, the places where, if you're working in this space, Bill C-11, Bill C-18, Bill C-63, they have made it incrementally more and more and more and more difficult. Dang. I've got a couple of people. I know that there's 23 people are in the live Rumble feed right now. I can see them there. I can see their comments. Yeah, absolutely bizarre what's going on. I can see Chilliwack is in the house. Hey, Wanna Keeper, that's on Rumble. Rizart's on Rumble. Brian's dogs are on Rumble. Thursday. So, yeah, so I'm really not sure what to tell you, folks. Let's see what happens if I
too complicate things. Let's stick to the basics. We both know what we want. Let's just keep it.
Well, that's no good. Try to refresh because that has been set for a while. So, because I didn't have a guest tonight, we're kind of hit and miss on stuff, and I'm going to kind of mess around. It's going to be off the cuff, a little bit one of those irregular, impromptu. I've got a lot of stuff to cover here that is just, the indicative of the dumpster fire of the world that's going on. Got a lot of stuff to. Oh, so I refreshed the feed I'm watching, and this is on whatsupcanada.org right now. So you should be able to, if all else fails, try whatsupcanada.org. If that isn't a perfect pitch for my platform today, I don't know what is. So, yeah. It could be I'm seeing a comment here from Wannakeeper. Could be a provincial thing. They are really, really messing around on stuff. I'm glad you're catching this on Facebook, Allison. For 3 months they wouldn't let me stream at all on Facebook, not at all. So I'm not holding my breath that they're going to allow me to stream on Facebook a whole lot longer even, but for the interim, I'm glad or grateful that I get a chance to get at least this much of a message out to you on Facebook to get plugged in elsewhere. They are coming for us in the independent media space. So, chemtrails. I did something on that a little while back. There's a lot. I think they're a lot more dangerous than we realize. Absolutely. Actually, I've done 2 deep dives on chemtrails. One for Wendy Bell Radio Network about 9 months ago. Okay, well, this helps, Mira. There are 2 Rumble channels. The first one that comes up is not live. The second one is. So that tells me that they've done this to me before. They've switched profiles on me without telling me so that my show didn't come up live. So that explains it. I should have gone and checked that. Thank you, Mira, for the heads up. Switched to Twitter. Twitter has been the most reliable platform that we could ask for right now. So if there's going to be any kind of a theme or underlying tone or current or my message here tonight, this is it. This is what I want people to remember. It's not far right. It's fed up. Canadians, people in general, not just Canadians, uh, are just fed up with the lies, the bullshit, the gaslighting, the general insanity, and that brings me to a quote that I saw on David Whitehead's platform today. Ringing any bells? Apart from the massacres, deaths, and famines for which communism was responsible, the worst thing about the system was the official lying. That is to say, the lying in which everyone was forced to take part by repetition, assent, or failure to contradict. I came to the conclusion that the purpose of propaganda in communist countries was not to persuade, much less to inform, but to humiliate and emasculate. In this sense, the less true it was, the less it corresponded in any way to reality, the better. The more it contradicted the experience of the people to whom it was directed, the more docile, self despising for their failure to protest, and impotent they become. If uh, that is the result of uh, the psychological abuse, the physical abuse, all of the abuses that have been crushing the souls of people for quite some time, and they're not done. They're absolutely still hell bent on using the same tools that they do, and people have a hard time understanding what's going on. And I've got a comment that I commented on earlier because I see a lot of people disturbed, and this is the one I was looking for from Kirk Lubimov. It's just a major project being constructed, and hundreds of people. They're bringing in hundreds of people from Turkey, Philippines, and India to work on it. Couple hundred are already here working on it. I don't get how, while mass immigrating people and rising unemployment, we're still bringing people from elsewhere for work, or why it's allowed. And this is um, the point that I wanted people to make, wanted people to get out of this is it's hard to understand for a person why all of this is going on. And it's simply because we cannot begin to fathom or accept how evil can be, and that our leaders in places of responsibility and trust are actually have been replaced by infiltrators doing evil by design, by intent. And once we can let go of those world views that our political class serves us, they're benevolent leaders, there is honesty and integrity in our political system. As long as people hold on to that false construct, the more difficult it's going to be for them to protect themselves or get any kind of information. Um, Carly, yeah, two channels now. In all fairness to Rumble, the first channel was a screw up channel. When I first tried to set up my Rumble account years ago, I have tried multiple times to get rid of it, to block it, to disconnect it in every way, shape, or form. But a couple times a month, they make sure that I get my show goes out on the wrong dang plan channel. So it is what it is. The sooner we all get living elsewhere, I guess, uh, the less confusing that it will be. So, yeah, the next story up is kind of a major announcement. I think it's should be spine tingling to everybody. What they have planned and what they're announcing. Trudeau's announced just a couple of weeks ago blah 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 billions to develop AI, and so that Canada will be a leader in the artificial intelligence industry, and I really want people to think and wonder, what kind of what could go wrong. Think about this. Put this in perspective, folks. They shut down the whole world and engaged a bioweapons program, murdering millions, untold millions of people, and damaging hundreds of millions more based on AI information. You'll remember that hockey stick curve, just 2 weeks to flatten the curve. Um, Based on AI data, chemical concoctions crafted with the use of AI models to create these chemical concoctions that they are mislabeling and misleading and lying to everybody else about. All of this is being done with the assistance of AI. So my question is, do humans actually even control humans anymore, even if they're elected or unelected? Or does AI already control humanity? If it does, which by the sheer physical, tangible reality that we're facing is the ripple effects of what they're doing with the AI, it would be arguable to say that AI is already ruling the world. And now Ottawa funded misinformation detection tool to rely on artificial intelligence. And I'm going to skim through this one here real quickly, guys. A new federally funded tool being developed aimed at helping Canadians detect online misinformation will rely on artificial intelligence. So now the fact checkers that the government is going to grade us on are going to be run by AI. Ottawa has announced. Heritage Minter Pascal St. Onge, isn't that, or is that just one of Trudeau's new feminism toys? I don't know. But on July 29th, Ottawa is providing nearly $300,000 to researchers at Université de Montréal. Don't they get enough from George Soros? That's where they get a bulk of their funding from, to develop the tool. Polls confirm that most Canadians are very concerned about the rise of mis and disinformation. They're concerned about that because they've heard the misinformation and disinformation from the mercenary media, because Uncle Klaus in January said that this is what they should be worried about. So here we are. The Epoch Times is announcing that edict from Uncle Klaus about fixing and combating mis and disinformation has made it to the pocketbooks of Canadians, and $300,000 going to be grifted away and given it to another George Soros funded institution of programming to build a tool that will say, yes, indeed, if you don't agree with the government's stance, you are a purveyor of dangerous disinformation. So that's kind of where this project will develop a website and web browser extension dedicated to detecting misinformation. The department says the project will use large AI language models capable of detecting misinformation across different languages in various formats, such as text or video, and contained within different sources of information. This technology will help implement effective behavioral nudges to mitigate the proliferation of fake news. So this should really be making the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. So with the browser extension, users will be notified if they come across potential misinformation, which the department says will reduce the likelihood of the content being shared. So I'm going to get into a couple of other stories here now. This link will be in the Substack tomorrow. For people to question, people need to ask questions, because they are blatantly smashing us with disinformation. So here's a case of disinformation, and I wonder, would this be allowed? So anybody that's offended by the new Olympic sport of men beating women, you're a Nazi. the Olympic Committee has come out and given a statement saying that if you're against the men beating up the women at the Olympics, you're discriminatory, and your ideology is based in Nazism. So that's kind of the response uh, from the officials. So now, who's going to be guilty of disinformation in this case about talking about this? And this is turning into, it's such a ridiculous online vacuum of the insane. Now people are back to arguing X, Y, X chromosome, and whether trying to define a woman rather than just saying no, that's insane, and somebody's going to die. And do people have to die at the Olympics before people can get a reality check? They're already injuring women and destroying women's hopes and dreams and lifetimes and careers through this insanity. But this isn't the only kind of misinformation and disinformation. There's other stuff out there. Does anybody follow Andrew Coyne? He's as you can see, 146,000 followers on X. I don't know exactly what he is, but he's absolutely an influencer in the left Marxist corner. And here comes a perfect conundrum. He says stricter mask rules could have saved hundreds of thousands of lives, new study finds, based on something The Independent published. And I responded with, this is a deadly lie, and he is a dangerous individual. Which one of those two statements would you guys think would be misinformation or disinformation, given the fact that I have 15 years as a breathing air specialist, and in my entire career, I never lost a person. And if I had for once, even once, sent somebody into a work environment with a mask on and that level of breathing air composition, the mix of hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, all of those, if I had done that even once, they would have jailed me for reckless endangerment, potentially attempted homicide. There would have been a litany of things that they would have charged me with in my working career if I had tried to put a mask on somebody. But yet, somebody like this can go out there and blatantly, you know, project that he is the accurate voice to be trusted and listened to. And I believe that man is absolutely genuinely dangerous, right? So here's another case of asking you, which is misinformation in this statement. Trudeau Liberal MP Vance Badaway says that bringing attention to the dozens of Trudeau Liberal scandals over the years is manipulating public opinion against his party. Well, isn't that politics, talking about scandals and failure and crime and corruption? I mean, you can't even make up this kind of insanity. So I'm probably going to be removed from X if I keep on the way I've been keeping on the last couple of days, because I have nothing but contempt for these people that are absolute parasites. And in this political whiner who absolutely needs to get his head out of the trough is absolutely infuriating to me with these kinds of things. So I'm going to, before we get to the really scary stuff, because I don't think anybody would feel like a show was complete if I didn't scare the liver out of somebody. So we'll get to that right now. Okay. On August 3rd, guess what, guys? The jihad starts here on the 3rd of August. And terrorism is now being projected under the rules of freedom of expression. So what's going on? Due to the Israeli strike, one of four different countries that Israel attacked in the last 48 hours and has terminated the lives of countless individuals in these attacks, including some terrorists and some negotiators. And at the end of the day, none of that belongs here in Canada, in my opinion. Um, and when this all starts to come together, this poster basically projects what I have been afraid of for a very, very long time. So this is the Palestine Montreal for Palestine page, and they're honoring the death, or now what they're calling the martyrdom, to honor his last demand. So we look forward to August 3rd being a pivotal, notable, and impactful day across all of Palestine, in refugee camps, the diaspora, and throughout our Arab and Islamic world, for all the free people of the world to support our people in the Gaza Strip and to free our prisoners in the occupation camps. So they've got events planned in Montreal, in Ottawa, in calling for a night of rage. Now, I don't know about you guys, but and so the rest of the post is answering to the call of the martyred Palestinian leader Ismail Haniyeh, who was assassinated by a treacherous attack on his guest residence in Tehran. August 3rd is to be dedicated to Palestine all over the world. This is not, Canada is not the place for this. England is on fire. Ireland is on fire. I had intended to see if I got some of these other short clips that I had pulled intended. So I'll go to this one here, which is a little video about said event. And my response to it is that terrorism is alive and thriving in Canada, and Canadians, you've been replaced. By that, I mean laws that applied to you are not relevant to the terrorist class. The violence is only just about to begin. August 10th, Ottawa. Let me play again. I want to pause it here. I want to ask you if you guys see that very bottom comment. On Saturday, August 10th, communities of Turtle Island will be making their way to the capital, Ottawa, for our 300 plus days of rage rally. So they're planning 300 days of rage. The instant Turtle Island is associated with a Palestinian jihad. Guys, this is not Canadian. This is not even Palestinian in organization. Turtle Island is the reference used by the indigenous, the natives, the Indians, the Canadian Indians, the North American Indians. So we've got North American Indians teaming up with Palestine to host a 300 days of rage event. Folks, this is getting kind of serious if you ask me, as to what the hell is going on here in Canada. And for a little bit of icing on the cake, today, and Blacklock's comes out with a report saying the department lost track of for 500,000 foreigners, including illegal immigrants, is exploring options to regularize their status. We don't know who they are or where they are, so we'll just make them, normal citizens and just forget about it. Nothing to see here in Canada when it comes to that. And when asked about what Trudeau's position is on this, I if I'll let you play that.
A lot of pressures on our system. Increasing the immigration levels, interestingly, will take some of the pressure off of the system because the stream on bringing in permanent residents has got room to bring in more, and it's when people come as refugees and try to flip or get refugee crisis status that it sort of a lot of pressures.
So his answer to when questioned about what do we do about the problem, that's turning half a million of them that they lost, and all the more that are coming, and they're all gathering behind this kind of crap. His answer to it is, bring in more, guys. Yeah, we need more. Oh, so my statement or comment that on this post here was, yes, terrorism is alive and thriving in Canada, and Trudeau obviously wants more of it. And this is comes back to David's comment about how much of the beyond the pale, beyond even comprehension, the lying, like exactly what we just heard out of Trudeau's lips. And if you don't agree with masking or where is that? Oh, there's some other really good stuff that I got pulled together here. It's just kind of a bit of a mess, like the rest of my day. Just a bit of a mess. I'm gonna get to that one over here. Let's see. I'll play this other clip while I'm getting myself organized for you guys here with a few other really juicy tidbits. So this is our CSIS director. Got some things to say about Trudeau.
Just slap the violent extremist label on all Canadians who aren't sufficiently woke. You read that right. Trudeau's out-of-control spy goons at CSIS just slapped the violent extremist label on all Canadians who aren't sufficiently woke. You read that right. In a WWIII new report, Trudeau's hand-picked CSIS chief Vanessa Lloyd claims perfectly normal people who don't submit to radical ideology are equivalent to violent extremists. Lloyd cooked up this fiction, saying non-woke Canadians need to be crushed by the security state to stop imagined violent attacks for resisting Trudeau's utopia. Don't worry. Lloyd promises Trudeau's spies are giving the full Soviet treatment to any parents, people of faith, conservatives, or others who dare oppose their intolerant agenda. We can rest easy knowing Trudeau's ace agent Lloyd is diligently fabricating national security threats from law-abiding Canadians to justify the promised crackdown on thought crime. Her promotion proves Trudeau has completed his woke takeover of spy agencies to ruthlessly target anyone who doesn't pledge allegiance to his views. Let's hope this champion of progress leads Trudeau's secret police to victory over the dark forces of independent thought and basic liberties. After 9 years of Trudeau's creative indoctrination, CSIS now openly wages war on all dissent against his radical ideology. Welcome back to Street Politics Canada. Before we dive into today's video, take a quick second to follow us on Twitter. You won't find the blunt truth about Trudeau's endless scandals in the mainstream media. Their liberal bias hides the real stories. But our Twitter feed breaks through the spin and cover-ups. We tweet multiple times daily, delivering straight facts on Trudeau's hypocrisy and failures. We'll leave you the link down in the description box. Tap that follow button now so you never miss our next viral tweet roasting Trudeau. Now let's dive into today's crazy developments. A disturbing new report reveals Justin Trudeau's woke national security apparatus now officially considers parental rights advocates a violent extremist threat. This explosive news spotlights the dangerous ideology poisoning Canada's institutions under the Liberals' coercive influence. The stunning report comes from CSIS, Canada's spy agency. It was authored by Vanessa Lloyd, the new interim CSIS director handpicked by Trudeau. While serving as deputy, Lloyd oversaw the 2023 document maligning anti-gender ideology activists, including parents defending their rights, as violent extremists requiring national security monitoring. This establishes definitively that Trudeau's progressive national security establishment has been fully corrupted by fringe woke radicalism. Lloyd's report claims baselessly that parental rights groups pose a violent threat akin to radicalism. By targeting advocates standing up for children as extremists alongside neo-Nazis, Lloyd proves Trudeau's state apparatus now officially views his political opponents as threats to be suppressed. This takes liberal intolerance to a chilling new level. The report states anti-woke people are almost certain to continue violence against woke people's interests and targets they view as representing the gender ideology agenda. But it cites just one mentally ill individual's attack to make this absurd smear against all critics. Lloyd's guilt by association tactics echo Trudeau's rhetoric painting Freedom Convoy protesters as equivalent to racists and misogynists. Her partisan demonization as extremists of Canadians defending traditional parental roles is a new low. This builds on earlier liberal hints that security bodies were closely monitoring activists in the parental rights movement for alleged violent rhetoric. The implication being parents who reject having radical gender theory imposed on their children's schools are violent extremism. It is Trudeau's government recklessly imposing its destructive ideology on society that constitutes extremism. Parents standing up to protect their kids are heroic. But Lloyd parrots Trudeau's line that such activism leads to violence against the woke community. Her unsupported claim is designed to justify mass surveillance of Trudeau's law-abiding critics. It is Lloyd and the Liberals dangerously attacking foundational liberties, not parents advocating for their children. By lumping concerned parents in with neo-Nazis, Lloyd makes clear Trudeau's national security bodies now wage open ideological warfare against his conservative opponents. This partisan corruption of spy agencies is a hallmark of totalitarian regimes. Lloyd's admission CSIS closely monitors the freedom movement in the same vein as extremists removes any doubt the liberal deep state targets Trudeau's political rivals. Their totalitarian agenda is laid bare. This builds on years of Trudeau, recklessly painting citizens defending traditional values as equivalent to white nationalists. He slanders millions of Canadians with hateful smears to delegitimize dissent against his unpopular.
So as much as it's, he's railing there about Trudeau smearing us, the scary part of that is actually the story is based on a report where CSIS is smearing us for being dangerous and racist. And again, all of those lies that that they're intent on perpetrating upon people, and it's about the money, guys. It's at the end of the day, it's always about the money. And I'm gonna pull up another one here on why Trudeau, why I keep saying that we've been replaced, and this is his agenda. So this comment was posted below. People asking why is there all of these other foreign nationals coming in at a job site? There's a whole bunch. My Twitter feed has been pretty angry, I guess, today, or not angry, but just impatient, calling out bullshit. So I'm probably going to get smashed on there. But this was a really great breakdown I wanted to show to you guys. So. But the construction site says that's a very sad state of affairs. As I was sitting in Tim Hortons eating my breakfast sandwich and drinking my tea, behind the counter are 6 foreign workers, all male, East Indian, Filipino, Bangladeshian. Then at approximately 5:45, in walks a day shift, 6 Filipino women, not a single Canadian amongst them. Why is that, you ask? Well, Trudeau has announced how he now subsidizes 70% of foreign workers' salaries. That means if you're a business owner and you hire a Canadian, you have to pay $15 an hour for each hour that they work. Whereas if you hire a foreigner, you only pay $3 an hour and Trudeau pays the other 12. So what would you do as a business owner? So these are the ways that Trudeau has been, financing, funding, and basically playing us at every level. And this post I'm going to bring up here, this is a bit of a longer one, so I'm going to read through it for the people on the 4x2s, but this is really something to think about. They're playing us. This is from James Melville on X. They are playing us. Almost everything in our news cycle is questionable. The lines between fact and fiction have become blurred. What our leaders and mainstream media peddle as a truth is often misinformation, and what is really the truth is smeared as misinformation. In an era of rolling news and social media, the bamboozle has captured us. In particular, our elites masquerading their greed as virtue. The modern world is a simulacrum. Forgive me. I am, after all, an uneducated northern swamp donkey, but I try. Where reality has been replaced by false messaging and imagery to such an extent that one cannot distinguish between fact and fiction. Or Orwell's chuckling. And as a result of this, everyone squabbles through the prism of their own confirmation biases and ideological impulses. We are ruled by a nefarious group of individuals that have an unquenchable thirst for power, control, and money, and they don't care what they have to do to get it. And that includes tricking people into thinking they are the virtuous good guys who are here to keep us all safe. And tragically, millions of people are completely duped by this. What we have witnessed over the COVID response, the war in Ukraine, the net zero agenda on climate change, and many other current issues is a movement of faux virtue that has been carefully crafted by corrupt politicians, messengers within legacy media outlets, greedy corporations, messiah delusional billionaires, and undemocratic technocrats to create the impression that they are the virtuous ones who are our friends. These people are not our friends. Their primary objective is to hoodwink us into believing and complying to their virtue, but in reality, being tricked into giving away more freedoms, power, wealth, and assets to these virtue vultures. The reality of all this is that we are sleepwalking towards the biggest asset grab in the history of the planet. They are trying to destroy farms, land, businesses, freedoms, housing, individual wealth, travel, and own them or sell them off to the highest bidder. And at the same time, they're trying to ring fence society into the entrapment of being controlled by data, either through health passports or the slow mission creep towards central banking digital currencies. It's a giant asset grab of what we own and control. They frame all of this being in our best interests, but it's the biggest swindle ever. This gargantuan virtue con trick also comes with a huge slice of authoritarianism. Anyone who sees through it, questions it, stands up to it, or shows opposition to it are immediately ridiculed, ostracized by the groupthink mob. Question the COVID response, COVIDiot. Question the wars, Putin apologist. Anti-Semite. Question net zero, climate change denier. Far right, racist goes with all three. So this is the gutter politics designed to shut down and undermine any questioning or opposition. But I'm not questioning the narrative is a huge form of denial. But not questioning the narrative is a huge form of denial. Because any government, technocrat, or institution that advocates medical discrimination, suppression of civil liberties, and a transfer of wealth and public assets to the rich while the rest of society endures a cost of living crisis is not your friend. Don't be fooled by their virtue. It's a giant con. In reality, they are indulging in a massive asset grab. They are treating the world as feudalism, but under the guise of it's for your own good or safety, faux virtue, a Machiavellian weapon that power-hungry sociopaths use for control. Fake virtue peddling by governments and authorities for mass compliance and social control is the oldest trick in the authoritarian playbook. Don't be fooled by it, because when totalitarianism arrives, it will come cloaked in fake virtue. And that is so on point for exactly, you can definitely find every story that we've covered tonight on either side of that spectrum. And in that exact same vein, I got a little clip from Bonnie Crombie, who a couple of days ago everybody was cheering, wondering, oh, she finally dropped the vax mandates. Oh, sorry, wait a minute. The next terror spree is on its way. So we're seeing the entire MSM wind up, and Bonnie, of course, is never one to let a good crisis go to waste. So we'll hear what she's got to.
Just to say that COVID is still with us, and it is going to be for the foreseeable future, and it will change. And we will be monitoring and continue to monitor the changes in the virus itself. And it may be that we will need to impose different restrictions over time. We know it's inevitably going to mutate, and it will likely surge again in the fall. And we'll be talking about the importance of vaccination as we head into our respiratory season again this year. And it may be that we'll need to have different varieties of the vaccine over time. Just to say,
so I really can't help but wonder if she's trying to compete with Joseph Mengele for a body count, because this is absolutely beyond comprehension to how this psychopath could still be engaging in this kind of directive and narrative. But where does she get it from? Well, let's take a look.
A very long, I don't know the answer to your question because it is very complicated. And quite honestly, the health sector doesn't know what to do, because this is now first and foremost a political problem. And what I've said to the Biden administration is the health sector can't solve this on its own. We're going to have to bring in Homeland Security, Commerce Department, Justice Department to help us understand how to do this. And I've said the same I met with Dr. Tedros last month in Geneva, WHO, the Director General, to say, I don't know that the World Health Organization can solve this on our own. We need the other United Nations agencies, NATO. This is a security problem because it's no longer a theoretical construct or some arcane academic exercise. 200,000 Americans died because of anti-vaccine aggression, anti-science aggression. And so this is now a lethal force and now I feel
that infuriates me. He's blaming 200,000 people that they murdered. They're blaming that on us. And that is so, we've covered a lot of this faux virtue being implemented, pretending to be, for our good or for our safety, but implementing, communism, fascism, authoritarianism, whatever you want to call it. This is exactly what this fool is begging for and describing needs to be done.
The pediatric vaccine scientist, it's just as though it's important, just as it's important for me to make new vaccines to save lives. The other side of saving lives is countering this anti-vaccine aggression.
So if that doesn't make your blood boil and expect some of the exact same insanity, I don't know what will kind of wake people up to that. I'm gonna get through some comments here before I get into a couple of the last stories for the night here. My blood is boiling. Absolutely. If it's not boiling, it's clotting. I hate to say that, but it's just they're coming after the kids. Absolutely. I've seen the push of this. People coming after, you're dangerous. You're dangerous to your kids. They'll be coming to take your kids if you don't take them in and get them stuck with one of these concoctions, right? So it's sorry. I hear you want to keep her. I can't stand her either. It's becoming a long list of people that I can't stand. All right. I see that some folks are still missing out on the Rumble channel news. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure out how to deal with that so it doesn't happen anymore. My deepest apologies. I know we got about half the people in Rumble today that we usually do, so they're all going to be looking for it. So I got what I got here. Big case opening up from Sean Rickard. This is, we can't fall into the trap, guys, of what's happening in the UK, in Ireland. They want us to rage out and have civil war in the streets with these migrants and immigrants so that they can kind of protect themselves and bury some of these lawsuits. And these lawsuits have to move forward. We cannot get caught and trapped into these baits. And this is one from, like I said, Sean Rickard. Tom Razzo was talking about this, and I think we were talking about this when I had him on the show a couple of weeks back as well. So they finally received a date for the hearing, and this is not going to go well for the government given some of the issues that they have been having with the government losing cases. Trudeau has lost so many more. He was actually trying to get blanket immunity. I've got a bunch of stuff in the can. I'm not sure when we're going to get to that, hopefully over the next couple of days. But let's see here. I'm going to play you guys this 2-minute clip that I've got here from Brian Lilly. Just because I want to know what you guys think of it. Is this for real? Is it legit? Would it make a difference? But based on the case, what happened in hearing yesterday with the abuse, the Liberal members' abuse of victims' testimony, and the embarrassment that and the disregard. This is, repeat offenders killing people repeatedly, more and more. It's nice. Again, we'll never understand evil, but these repeat offenders seem to be the most prolific at getting out and going and doing it exactly again. And Brian had a comment here based on what Doug Ford is proposing, and I'd like to have your guys' thoughts on this.
I like Doug Ford's idea. It means accountability for the justice system. How it will play out, I don't really know. Let's give some background. Ontario Premier Doug Ford was holding a news conference where he went off script a little bit and said he wants accountability for judges.
I'd like to measure how many of those people are getting out on bail, and then I'll report back to you, because if something tells me a lot of them are going to be back out on bail to recommit the crimes.
Reporters at the scene asked him a few questions about that, saying maybe, it sounded like he wanted to, get involved and destroy the independence of the judicial system. He didn't say he wants to get rid of judicial independence, but he does want accountability, and said that everyone else is held accountable.
Well, let's first measure. We can't measure. There's no measurement going on right now. I love our court system. We have some of the finest JPs and judges in the country, but we have some other JPs and judges that just think letting them out on bail is the right thing to do. It's the wrong thing to do. But we're going to be measuring, and there'll be accountability. Like I get held accountable, like the chiefs get held accountable, the court system has to be held accountable.
Look, Ford's going to have to tread carefully if he wants to do something, but his main idea of tracking who lets folks out on bail and what they're let out for and what the track record is, that's a very good idea. And that could put some pressure on judges to stop letting repeat offenders out. Eventually, we're going to have to change the legislation that was passed at the federal level that makes it almost impossible for judges and justices of the peace to deny bail. Not everyone has to be held behind bars until they go to trial, but repeat offenders should be held behind bars. If you are carjacking someone and then you're let out on bail immediately afterwards just to go carjack again, you shouldn't be getting bail. You should be held behind bars. That's what Ford's talking about, and we need to find a way to do that. The Trudeau Liberals aren't about to change the legislation. The province, which administers the justice system, is getting frustrated, and the public is getting scared. Judges can't live in an ivory tower world free from any consequences. They need to be held accountable. And if that only comes to naming and shaming the really bad ones, I'm good with that.
So that I thought was really interesting, guys. For a couple of reasons there, and I want to hear you guys' feedback on the first, because Ford went off script. That rarely works well for him. He always ends up usually with a great big backlash for that. But I think for the first time in his history, he actually went off script with something that makes sense, something that we should and could possibly embrace, to go after more of these judges and hold them to account. And Brian Lilly was actually right there. And I really disagreed with him on something else in the last couple of days. But in this particular case, he's right. Trudeau's not going to change any of this. Why? Because Trudeau reformed all of those bail systems. He decriminalized all of those crimes. He made it easier for all of these people to do the things that they are doing, and some of them that they're planning on doing in their next 300 days of rage. And the legacy media is not going to cover any of this. And if they do, you're going to see what we're seeing in the UK. So just a little bit of the story that's in the UK, and I'm definitely not going to do the truth justice on this, but 3 young girls from a class were stabbed and brutally murdered by a repeat offender in the UK. And Natural Britons, the real English, came out by the 50,000s. Tommy Robinson, regardless of what you think about him, he has been warning of this in the UK. Well, now the protesters that came out to object to this are now being given the royal stomp from the UK government and the police. They are absolutely abusing their own citizens because they're objecting to these free roaming terrorists running around their countries committing heinous acts of crime and murder, and they're getting away with it. And it's not going to get better if we don't do something very, very soon, folks. And I'm going to play you a real short clip of why. Iran raised their war flag today. Was it yesterday? Not sure specifically. But now we've got this. Those are missiles from Lebanon going into northern Israel. You know what, guys? I don't give 2 rats fiddlers F. Who's done the worst or who's at fault? An eye for an eye leaves everybody damn well blind. This needs to stop. And the only way that this stops is if we stop supporting this. How is it that our governments have carte blanche to say they'll cover somebody else's butt and let them go out and start wars anywhere on the planet and do anything that they want with no accountability? We just keep writing the checks and giving them the ammunition to do the things that we're doing. And then we wonder why we're experiencing the problems that we have here. This is by design. These guys are in cahoots. They're driving them out of the Middle East so that they can end up here in our streets doing the horrible things that they are doing. And I kind of couldn't even help myself, but I have to laugh about it and post on Twitter this afternoon and ask folks, is anybody actually taking a log, an official log, pun not intended, on how many camera or video evidence, pieces of video evidence there are of these people pooping all over our streets, doing whatever it is that they do, making the mess that they do? Is there anybody there that's actually taken a log on that? Because it is literally, by definition, making Canada a third world shithole when people can shit with or without a hole anywhere in this country from coast to coast. And we're a racist if we object. Folks, we got to get over that. We got to get over that damn Skippy. And this is a question I posed to people, and this is going to be the last question I posed to you guys here today. When will the fear of being labeled racist stop being enough of an excuse to not defend your country, your ideals, your morals, your ethics, your values, your family, your freedom, your prosperity, or your future. Because it's that one single word. That one single word. That is what they're pushing on. And that's until we overcome that. That word is how far you, me, we will have to go to stop the manufactured destruction of Canada under the agreements of these monster pseudo elected officials, like this guy here. Like, if you ever wanted to invade, destroy, or conquer a nation without firing a shot, that's your guy, because that's exactly what he's done to Canada. And yeah, we've literally got epidemics of dysentery starting to rage through our streets. And where does that come from? This guy, his policies. On my X account, I probably won't be able to find it in a hurry right now, but one of the pieces of media that I shared earlier, might have been yesterday, maybe it's been removed, I don't even know. It's so hard to keep up to what they're taking down as far as for stuff, but literally the top 3 categories of early death in Canada are down to 100% Trudeau policies. Trudeau policies are responsible for the top 3 categories of early death in Canada. Let that sink in. This guy that thinks the solution is, bringing more people and abusing us for objecting and branding us as criminals and dangerous and all of those things, when it's got absolutely nothing to do with that. And we are not racist people, and we are not far right. We're just way past fed up. Right? All right, guys, that's it for tonight. Making lemonade out of lemons again today. I really wasn't going to sure exactly what it was going to turn into, but this is just some of the insanity. While they're sleepwalking us into World War III, they are allowing or manifesting or making this happen here in Canada. These faux virtue liars and criminals. So that's it for tonight, guys. Tomorrow we do have a special edition of show, because Bryce isn't going to be available tomorrow. So tomorrow we've got Mr. James Roguski. He's going to be talking to us about the equitable access to pandemic-related products and the Genocide Convention Implementation Act of 1987 and the Carrie Musk. Oh, I forgot to show you guys. I wasn't clicking as fast as I was talking. So a couple of articles that James is going to be speaking with us about tomorrow. He's been very, very busy putting stuff together and honoring Carrie Mullis. And he's going to be telling us what's coming up in the next big article that he's got coming out this coming Wednesday. So James is one of those guys that you all know you're going to get a drink from a fire hose when James comes on tomorrow. There will be a lot of information. It will be very dense, but you guys will have places to go to get all of that information. Why? Because we believe in authentic journalism here in Canada. I hope you guys are plugged into the Substack. If you are a whistleblower or have something that I need to know, this is the best way to reach me. Contact at whatsupcanada.com. If you find enough value to buy me a coffee, I am eternally grateful. It is the folks out here that make this all possible. And yeah, and if you want to support me as your favorite journalist this week or month, this is how you do it. And it's again, it's you guys that make this happen every single month, and that's never lost on me for a minute. So On all of that note, I love you guys, and stay mighty, stay Canadian, stay free, stay patriots. I know we've got patriots from all over the place, all over the world. So yeah, stay mighty, stay strong, stay proud, and don't be afraid. It's go time, and we're going to talk more about things we can do about that on Saturday. But in the meantime, I look forward to seeing you guys here for James tomorrow, and have an amazing day. Stay mighty, my fellow.
I was always alone, running in my own direction. It was fine, and I was fine.